Back in 2010, it was a shock to see a sequel to Assassin's Creed 2 so early. Brotherhood was made and released within a year, which is pretty impressive if you ignore the corners that had to be cut to achieve that. It's still often seen as one of the best Assassin's Creed games, but to some it's also the most disappointing. But after all these years passing with countless sequels released, it's pretty hard to not see Brotherhood as one of the better Assassin's Creed games out there today. Yes, it is basically Assassin's Creed 2.1, not many changes were made, but it refined many aspects of Assassin's Creed 2 that were lacking. So it's 2023 now. What do I mean now? It's June 2023, it's almost over. Jesus, what's going on? Where's the time going, man? So let's see if it's worth playing in 2023. Brotherhood follows Ezio once again, only this time Ezio is more mature and far less focused on revenge. He seems satisfied with his life and is ready to move on to different things, while still serving the assassins, doing the occasional assassination with the Apple of Eden and all that crap. Of course, that doesn't really work out because we need a game to play. Ezio is forced back into a life of murder, pickpocketing and parkour that would snap your knees 95% of the time. So let's attack the main issue with Brotherhood's story without spoilers. Brotherhood, let's be honest, it's far too short. Sometimes less is more, but sometimes less is less. The story focuses on Ezio building the Brotherhood back to power in Rome with the goal of overthrowing Cesare Borgia, who by the way is actually a really great villain, but he didn't get enough screen time. To tell a story like that, which feels significant and natural, is already tough enough. But it's even tougher when you have a short amount of time to do that, and that's the case here. Brotherhood just isn't long enough to tell a satisfying story that improves upon Assassin's Creed 2 in enough ways to differentiate it from the stigma of being AC 2.1. Now despite that, Brotherhood still makes substantial improvements, specifically on character. Ezio was already likable in Assassin's Creed 2, but in Brotherhood he matures significantly and starts making decisions you'd actually agree with. Ubisoft did a really great job in making you believe Ezio would be capable of overthrowing the Pope. Yeah, the Pope. We really did that. You overthrow the Pope. Like, come on, what is going on? Because of the focus on Brotherhood, all the side characters are much more integral to the story this time around. In AC2, you just kind of meet them, do missions for them, and then they disappear till the end of the game. But here, they're almost a part of every mission. It's less about Ezio, and more about the people he's trying to build up to help him in the end, and I love that. Ezio going from a young, revenged, focused killer into a master assassin that learns from his mistakes and puts fixes into action was perfect for his character. So the side characters are improved quite a lot, and that helps with Ezio's character too. Now the villain, Cesare Borgia, I think is one of the best villains in Assassin's Creed. He's the kind of guy that would be capable of unspeakable things. Well, they are speakable, I mean, incest. That's pretty fucked up. Now, there's no proof that they were actually really getting on with each other in real life. It was spread as a rumor by his sister's first husband, I think. At least that's apparently the story, but yeah, this is fiction now. We're playing Assassin's Creed. This is fiction. Cesare is just such a disgusting character and it works so well. His voice actor, I don't know his name, did a phenomenal job with him. In fact, he has some of the best line delivery in the entire franchise.
Father, do you not see? I control all of this. If I want to live, I live. If I want to take, I take.
AC games of late have really struggled with their villains. It started after Assassin's Creed Black Flag, I think. Since then, the villains really haven't been great, so to play an Assassin's Creed game with a villain that is so focused on just makes me happy. Outside of all this though, the rest of the story is pretty forgettable. You do get kind of attached emotionally, but I think that's because of AC2 rather than Brotherhood. It's a fine story with a great villain, but really needed more time in the oven to truly be something special for the narrative, you know what I mean? If they just spent a little bit more time building on Cesare's character, having him in the game a little bit more, having more interactions with Ezio, I really think this dynamic between the two of them could have been really, really interesting. It is interesting already, but it does end up falling into the, oh, I'm really bad and I want to kill everybody scenario, and that kind of, I didn't really like that. I wanted a bit more from it. But other than that, it's a fine story. It just needed more time. Now, Brotherhood makes some pretty big changes to its gameplay system at first sight, but after a while you do realize that Yeah, this is just AC 2.1. First off, combat system. The combat system had the free flow aspect added in. You still counter, you still kick, you still dodge, only when you pull off those counters you go into a free flow state, which allows you to take out as many enemies as you want, as long as you don't get interrupted, which is pretty cool. Now I know you're probably expecting me to hate on the combat, but I've been thinking over the last couple weeks that I kind of missed the point of these systems. They are made to suit the most casual audience out there, and I think I might call it the Marvel effect. The combat system, much like Assassin's Creed 1 and 2, doesn't have a lot of depth. It's flashy, it's satisfying, and it has some variety. Very little variety, but it has some. And at the end of the day, the combat is fun, but fine. It's acceptable for the game it is. You have daggers, swords, throwing knives, crossbows, hidden guns, smoke bombs, the lot, and it makes the combat feel far more varied than it actually is. It's a fun system, but it lacks enemy variety and really did nothing to improve on enemy AI. It still feels the same, but that's not always a bad thing. What does help it though is the Brotherhood system. The Brotherhood system helps it significantly. The Brotherhood system allows you to find and recruit assassins in Rome, level them up, and call them in your time of need to help you in combat or to silently take out enemies out of your reach, and what a terrific addition. This system should have been in every Assassin's Creed game after Brotherhood. It adds a cool little risk-reward aspect to the combat, and sending out assassins on missions is genuinely a tough choice. Do I send them off to potentially die, or do I keep them around to call all of them at once to feel really cool? It's a tough one, and it kept me far more engaged than I remember back in 2010, but I was 10 years old at the time. This system helps with stealth as well. AC2 was very limited with stealth. You either threw a knife or used your hidden blade to stealth assassinate people, but here you can call on your assassins to take out targets for you. You also have other stealth options like a crossbow to take out an enemy from range far quicker than a throwing knife ever could, but it does feel like a cheat code at times. You're often surrounded by friendly factions to use social stealth to your advantage, and enemy placements in main missions feel fairly plausible to beat in stealth, which never felt like the case in previous AC games. It was always very tough to sneak around because you didn't have many options, but here in Brotherhood, enemies are placed just in the right spots to make stealth challenging but still doable. You know what I mean? Stealth is still the weakest aspect of Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, but it's better than Assassin's Creed 2, and considering we are going through every Assassin's Creed game, I think it would be really cool to see how my thoughts change over the next 6 months. Level design is pretty good. It's just one city, Rome here, so levels often feel a bit more claustrophobic at times because you're just in a big city, which adds a little more engagement to my brain because you're looking around corners, you're checking the minimap constantly to see if there's an enemy there, but it's still far from perfect. There are still a ton of tailing missions and instant fails if you fail stealth, which just drives me insane. A lot of missions are far too short as well. They often just ask you to do a single objective and then bang, that's it, take your money and move on. The level design is good, but there's just not enough of it. A lot of focus was clearly spent on the open world, so that's it. I really don't feel like talking about the level design because it's just not worth talking about. I'm going to be repeating myself like I did in Assassin's Creed 1. It's very similar, but it's slightly better. That's it. The side missions, however, are really cool. You have Leonardo missions that have you jumping off carriages or using the flying machine once again. You have Templar agents to take out as well, which are actually characters you could play as in the now non-functional multiplayer that I loved back in 2010. Did you guys like the multiplayer? I loved it personally. The open world activities were improved a lot as well. You can now invest in Rome, rebuilding aspects like aqueducts and then buying up parts of the buildings and land that makes you feel like you're actually overthrowing a city, which is awesome. It has the depth of a Fast and Furious film, but it's still pretty good. Along with all that comes customization of your outfits, weapons, upgrades to your satchels for more medicine if you ever need it, along with crossbow bolts, bullets, etc. So you do have things to unlock throughout your playthrough, which makes money actually useful this time around. Every time you invest in Rome, you get more money coming back in 20 minutes time. Very much, it's basically the same as Monterey Journey from Assassin's Creed 2, but it's far bigger and offers more options for things to unlock. That being said, all your unlockables are kind of pointless because the game is just way too easy. The only things you really need to unlock is the crossbow. That's it. You could play the entire game with the main outfit without buying any armor because you've got so much medicine that you might as well not bother. There are the side missions where you can actually unlock the Brutus armor, which I did do, and they're some of the best missions in the game, but the incentive to get the Brutus armor is just kind of pointless because you don't need the armor, you don't need the health. The only time you're going to need the health is when you feel like not climbing down a building, you decide to jump off and just use your medicine. That's the only reason to have it, which sucks, and that was the same problem with Assassin's Creed 2, and it remains a problem with most of the Assassin's Creed games now, apart from Assassin's Creed Odyssey because you can jump off giant buildings and live because fall damage doesn't exist. Why did they do that? But that's it. That's all I can really remember after beating it yesterday. Now, do I think it's still Assassin's Creed 2.1? Yeah, but it's a great improvement to the Assassin's Creed 2 formula, and while I wish it was a little longer, I think Ubisoft knew it's so similar to AC2 that maybe being shorter is a better option to avoid burnout, which would eventually reach the franchise by Assassin's Creed Syndicate, and more specifically because they had Assassin's Creed Revelations cooking in the background. Despite all the negatives, I absolutely think Brotherhood is still worth playing in 2023, and worth a replay if you've already beaten it. Thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Check out my original Assassin's Creed review if you enjoyed this one, and maybe even subscribe if you're new. Go have a good day. Bye bye.